Alright, whereas my microphone fucked up this morning, now I think it's working. It's 2 in the morning. The video I put out this morning, I was saying thank you everybody for sharing Spotify, the Spotify links, the RSS feed. It was really funny, it was great, it was charismatic. Well, I guess I'll have to get a lip reader. I was saying thank you to everybody. The gist of the whole thing was, I think if I get enough views, it will kind of hit like a self-sustaining, accelerating, like critical mass. And it took like 266 days to go from 0 views to 1,000 views, and then it took 163 days, and then like 120 days, and I think 100 days, and then 75, and then 60, and then like 55, and I don't know what it is. I think we did 17 days for the last 1,000 views, and right now we're on track to do it in 15 days, and then projected after that, my projections show, based on 572 data points, that it's going to take like 12 days, and then basically every subsequent 1,000 views takes 75% of the time of the previous 1,000 views. So starting at 266 days and then going all the way down, and we're kind of hitting this exponential, like the boot of the curve, and it's jumping up to where by October 17th we should be at 1,000 views a day. That's just how fast it's accelerating. Again, I mean, it took a year to break 2,000 views, and then faster, and now we're at this thing where it's like it's going from 16 to 12 and it's getting really quick. And everyone that's helping, just share it, posting it on any app, it doesn't fucking matter. Just no context. Just go on Twitter and just find somebody's tweet and just comment the link. Even it has nothing to do with this. If somebody's like, I'm trying a new, Vitamix thing, just comment, here's an episode with Don the Pleb and Dale Comstock, and just don't look at their responses. Just fuck it, fire and forget. Just plug it, just text to people. Just it doesn't fucking matter. Just who cares? Put it on Imgur, put it on MySpace, put it on a Lego forum. Like, I don't give a shit. Just everyone doing it, please continue to do it. I think I only need you guys to do it. Today's August 22nd. I think you only need to do it till October 17th. And the importance of all of this, and you're probably wondering why the fuck are we doing this, is because, I mean, YouTube's flat out just fucked. BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, those are great, but it's still very, very slow. Podcast RSS feeds, Spotify, Anchor, over whatever you want to call it, those are just looking at all my data I have 35 columns, 572 points. So I did all of this on the video this morning, but there's no microphone. It's like 22,000 data points. The only thing that is like showing true exponential growth, and the more views I get, the faster I get more views and onwards, just like how trending works, is on Spotify. That's the only like merit-based platform that I'm working on. Everything else, there's a finger on the scale somewhere, and it's a waste of my time to try to get it growing there. I mean, obviously I still upload the videos to all those, but I think Spotify is the one where it's gonna go. And yeah, I think it's a good podcast. I think there's a lot of great guests, and I think I make them fun. And I want the podcast to get what I feel it deserves. If the podcast sucks, then it will fail on its own. I would like for it to fail on its own. But I don't want it to not work because of algorithms, because of I dropped the F-bomb too much, because I mentioned something about a vaccine or elections or fucking Kabul airport or alien. I don't know. I want it to succeed or fail based on its merit, not on, if I may, not on the color of its skin, on the content of its character. And what is the purpose of this? Well, the purpose is for it to get so big that it's uncancelable. So I can just have, me and Roger talking about AI Jesus, or we can have Dale and Dawn talking about, let's form a militia and move into the woods and adopt a bear. I don't know. Love is love. It's that's what I want. And I mentioned all of this in the video this morning. What I ultimately want to do with what I hope is a massive amount of wealth from this podcast is I would like to use my podcast as free PR and then actually literally donate the vast majority of my earnings, put it in my will, death, 99%. I want to push for vast new research into psychedelics for mental health. As everyone at this podcast knows, I lost a sibling to suicide in 2014. Psychedelics, I personally believe, saved my life, and it's something that can't be patented, that can't be price gouged. They can't make an enantiomer of it. This isn't like I want to set up a pharmaceutical company. No, I want stuff to be researched that already exists and just no one can make money off of it, and it's just a thing. I think that is obviously, we all want to save the world, but I think you just have to choose one thing and try to improve it as much as you can before your time's up. And that's something that's near and dear to me. And so that's something I would like to do, is if I can get Joe Rogan wealth out of this thing, I would like to really just push forward mental health with psychedelics. Not me, I mean, doctors, brilliant people. But if I could provide the funding, so that's the big 100,000 foot fully zoomed out picture. Is I'd like to make a dent in mental health care in the world. So something that permeates even America. If America falls, or eventually it will. I mean, it's just every nation does. Every empire does. Maybe we got 10 more years. Maybe we got 200. Maybe we take out China. Fuck if I know. But eventually, India will be in charge. And 1,000 years later, it'll be fucking, I don't know, Brazil. Brazil will be the superpower. It's just, world history is just something you never expect comes up. I don't want to do something based on a nation, because nations fall. I want to do something based on healthcare, like Joseph Lister's antiseptic technique, or development, or germ theory, or the development of penicillin, or anesthesia, or whatever. I want something that permeates. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if China takes over. If I can make an effect on the way that mental health is treated, then I don't give a shit who wins, as long as there are people out there who, in the darkest pits of despair, can reach for something that stuff we take for granted now, just like an air conditioner or Tylenol. You got a headache, take a Tylenol. And we look back at the 1500s and we're like, man, the fucking dark ages, where attach a leech to your skin and light some sage on fire and pray to some god, and it's like, Jesus, stuff we just take for granted, just like multivitamins. I would like to make such an effect on mental health care that people look back at 2021 and they're like, man, the fucking dark ages. Like we look back at covered wagons going out west. I want people to look back at and be like, oh man, that was back before they cured depression. Oh Jesus. We look back at polio and we're like, huh, what an odd thing. I think it would be cool to make an effect on the world that in 2 centuries, it's like, oh yeah, no, some people have allergies and they take this. Some people, whatever, you need this medication. Hey, you got diabetes, use an insulin pump. Oh, you got depression, no, you just gotta take this thing, you're fine. I want it to just be such a non-issue, not even some miraculous, truly just make it stuff you don't pay, electricity or clean water, stuff it doesn't even register. That's what I want to do, is push forward mental health. And I also think that could have a cascading effect. It's this is a bad analogy. But one analogy I always use is like if you were on a plane and you had one bullet. I'm not inciting violence, FBI. If you were on a plane and you had one bullet, how would you do the most damage? Would you shoot someone? Okay, you could pop someone and kill them. Could you maybe line up a couple people, take out a couple? Could you maybe shoot a window and depressurize the cabin? Well, the pilots could still put on their masks or whatever. Or would you pop the pilot and then the whole thing would go down? So if you only had one quote-unquote bullet, one field in which you could enact change in your life, how would you do the most good? Would you bring food to a homeless shelter? Like, sure, that's good. Would you, become a business entrepreneur and bring jobs to a town? Like, that'd be great too. You would develop a new medication. Oh, that's fantastic. But if you could tweak mental health, I mean, aside from the fact that I think it's just like an act of mercy and an act of love, something to do to your fellow humans and humans that I'll never meet, that will be born after I'm dead, is, I mean, what is like the lost economic output to like depression? How many geniuses are toiling away in obscurity because they just couldn't, break out of a negative cycle? Right? How many Elon Musks are just stuck in a bad rhythm and you don't know it, and they work at the gas station? And then, I mean, like all drugs, eventually get abused, right? If you don't have an Adderall prescription, you can find someone with Adderall or Xanax or codeine or whatever. Well, eventually, people with like a psilocybin prescription are going to be able to give it to people that don't necessarily have the prescription. Well, then what happens when you get an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos and they trip balls and it completely changes their operating system, right? Like Scrooge, he changes after he talks to the ghosts. So not only could you just help like the layman with depression, but like how many billionaires out there would, just try something recreational on their yacht and they come down and they're like, man, I'm sitting on, $100 billion of cash. Like I could really do some good in this world. So I really think that like psychedelic research is the bullet that would bring down the plane of suffering. And so that's like the hyper big picture of like, why should you help support the podcast? A step below that and a little less serious and heavy is, it'd just be funny if it can't get canceled. If I'm out in the woods, Dale doing security, me, Don the Pleb, fucking Charlie Duke from Apollo 16, he'll be like 150, we'll be keeping him alive with stem cell shit. And, Roger Hodkinson and Robert Malone. And we're just out there in like the middle of the woods with a radio tower made out of sheet metal and like old car parts, with a hand crank generator, just, welcome to TPC episode, 4,521. And it's just like, I just think it would be hilarious, right? Having on like Alex Jones and Donald Trump on like episode 5,000. So like, for the less heavy and like intense reasoning, at the very least, it'll just be fucking entertaining. I mean, like, do you really want to see another Netflix series? Like, do you really need another morning TV? Welcome to the show, McDonald's, get this. Here's an Uber driver. No, like, I want to be on top of a mountain on, like, my own compound with Alex Jones as he's teaching me about the human-animal hybrids. Like, that's what I want. So, forget even the whole mental health thing and all that good starry-eyed shit. At the very least, it'll be funny. It'll be me and Roger on one of Elon's ships going out beyond Neptune, just stoned off of our dicks, like, what the fuck? Like, as Roger's writing a story in real time, and I'm just drooling on myself. Like, that's what could be cool. So, please keep sharing the podcast, the audio link, the Spotify link. It's in the description of every video. Please just keep sharing that. Instagram, put it on Twitter, Imgur, Clout Hub, Gab, TikTok, just anything. It doesn't matter. Just any little bit. Just help me push it till it can hit this critical mass. And, I mean, you know, just a random amount of, again, not inciting violence, FBI, this is an analogy. Just a random amount of uranium with explosives, it makes it an explosion that's dirty. But if you take that uranium and then you take the explosives around it and make it in a 360-degree shell, you can create the power of the sun and vaporize the city. Just randomly putting episodes out there, or if I can get everyone to help me share it and just get it going faster and reaching its own escape velocity, it could turn into something beautiful. And like, not me, like I don't, like I'd like a home. I like to be financially stable. I have no desire for any of that shit. I don't, no, I really want to make a change in mental health. I mean, what a great troll that would be. Would there be any greater troll? Would there be any greater Rick Roll than a podcast broadcasting from the middle of the woods, started above my parents' garage, talking to like ex-presidents, and then using the money to put a middle finger up Big Pharma's asshole and use mushrooms and LSD to like release humans from like the mortal coils of their minds? Like, at the very least, it's a great Rick Roll on just everything serious. Put your tie on, a 9-to-5 job. No, fuck it. You don't need to work hard. You can literally start a podcast and just yell at a camera until you make $1 billion, and then use mushrooms that grow on cow shit to change the operating system of the global brain, a la Terrence McKenna. Like, so that's kind of what I said this morning. I swear to God, if this microphone isn't on, nothing. Well, no, that's an empty threat. I'll do nothing. I'm just going to go to bed. Anyway, Godspeed, everybody, and thank you for continually sharing this, and we'll see you tomorrow.